There's no question that technology plays a huge role in the life of a middle school student nowadays. From iPhones to smartphones to video games, they're constantly engaged. But that doesn't necessarily translate into exercise or proper nutrition. Our guest here tonight on Mercer County Close-Up is a 7th grade English teacher who's noticed over the past 5 years a steady decline in her students' ability to learn, and she blames lack of proper exercise and nutrition. So she's made it her mission to make sure her students are on the right track. Joining us is Lisa Cesaro-Schultes. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you for having me on.
Growing up, a lot of us were told not to chew gum or eat in class, but you're letting your kids break the rules. Why is that?
Well, I feel there is a strong link between academic success and nutrition. I mean, we know that kids who have good nutrition are performing better. We decided that we would start eating healthier in class. And today I had a little buffet of some fruits, and I also put together a trail mix of nuts and sunflowers and dark chocolate.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, isn't chocolate a bit risky there?
And, well, actually, there's a lot of health benefits to dark chocolate. I wanted to also keep the trail mix somewhat fun and
appealing,
exciting,
right,
and tasty. And so I threw everything in the mix was organic, and everything had a purpose. So I had some walnuts and almonds in there for protein, and also the walnuts served as omega-3s.
And do they improve with memory too?
Yeah, omega-3s, especially now there's so much research with omega-3s and omega-6s and memory and brain function, and so I wanted to offer that to them, and they loved it. They ate it all day long. It was gone by the end of the day.
And tell me about the exercise component of being healthy that you teach these students. So it's not just about looking good,
right? It's not just about looking good. In fact, I really don't like to focus on weight, and I know that right now in America, you know, we have a obesity problem. I think it's over 30% of kids in America are obese.
Right.
And there is definitely a link between obesity and a decline in academic achievement, and that's what we're seeing in the last 20 years. And so I want to focus on how are you functioning and how do you feel. And if you don't feel good and you're not functioning at a high level, if you're not able to focus, if you don't feel well, if your mood isn't stable, then we've got to look at the other two things, the other two F's, and that is your fueling and your fitness. And so that's why I like to incorporate fitness.
Yeah, I saw your students doing squats and jumping rope. Really energizing.
I utilized 3 or 4 different exercise stations that all were either short burst type exercises or high intense interval type exercises to get their heart rates up, and also some skill and skill acquisition and skill patterns in order for them to kind of think their way through the exercise. And research shows that not only does exercise provide more oxygen flow to the brain, but it also can create and promote the growth of brain cells. And through these exercises, they were really, quote unquote, turning on their brains.
When they get back into class and you start the lesson, what is their energy level like at that point?
So when we get back into class, after about 15 minutes of either sitting or and listening to a lecture, or maybe they were in some kind of a rotation type learning station, they will actually say to me, wow, I feel really energized, and you know, that felt really good to be outside, and I feel like I can focus a lot better. And I noticed that they are not up and down so much, and they're really focused on what they're doing, and they will actually comment to me that was really great that we did that.
And that was the whole goal,
helpful
to get them to focus and be able to learn better.
And to turn their brains on.
Right.
Because you can't sit a student in a seat for 100 minutes and expect them to learn.
Right. Well, you know, when we think of field trips, we usually think of teachers taking their kids to the museum, but you took your class to Whole Foods. Very interesting choice.
That's right, because when I did the lesson on nutrition and I was trying to give them information that would help them make healthy choices and what they were eating for breakfast and lunch and dinner, they had so many questions. The class period ended and kids were staying after class late to the next period because they wanted to know more about how to eat to better help their performance in class. And so at that point I said, I need to reach out to the experts. And that's why I designed this trip to Whole Foods.
How did you incorporate that trip into the curriculum? Because you said they asked you a lot of questions and they gave you a chance to incorporate it into the lesson plan. But what next steps, what other things have you done?
Well, our classroom theme is Move to Improve, Strong Body, Strong Mind. And besides the academic part of the lesson, our goal is to create literate students, to send them out into the world, being literate, functioning people.
Right, and you're teaching English class,
right,
essentially.
And so we're working on the skills of reading comprehension
right.
and writing skills and speaking skills.
Right.
But in the last 5 or 6 years, I've noticed that the way that they're able to receive the information is just so different. And I don't believe the answer is necessarily putting them in after-school tutoring programs or double math classes, because there's something...
If the brain's tired at that point, it can't retain more information.
If the brain's not healthy, if the body's not healthy, the brain's not healthy, and they're not going to learn the way they need to. They're not going to reach their full potential. I have bright students, but there is something going on with the way that they are receiving the information, and I believe it has everything to do with their nutrition and the way they're moving.
As you know, there are many kids in this country struggling with attention problems in the classroom, and many millions have been prescribed drugs, essentially. Very different approach from what you're talking about. So what's your thoughts on prescription drugs as a cure?
I do have a lot of students who have attention problems, and I'm going to tell you, the main culprit is refined sugars. That's what I believe, and that's what I've researched. So
hide the junk food, not necessarily the medication?
I think it's very, quick and easy to go to your doctor and get diagnosed and get a prescription for a medication to suppress the symptoms. When the kids go on medication, they're not curing ADD or any attention problems. They are just suppressing the symptoms. I want them to actually feel like they're cured. And one way to do that, through what research tells us, is to change your diet.
Very interesting, staying healthy as a way to be able to pay attention in class. Well, to make sure that nutrition and exercise stays at the top of her students' minds all day long, Lisa has them keep a wellness journal in which they track how being healthy helps them learn. No better way for kids to learn that lesson than to experience it for themselves. I'm Sabine Morency. We'll see you again here real soon.